We start the day's other headlines with Veterans Day, and in particular, the first joint appearance by President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris since last week's election. They appeared together to honor those who served the nation in uniform. At Arlington National Cemetery outside Washington this morning, Mr. Biden laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And with Vice President Harris looking on, Mr. Biden reflected on the service of our nation's veterans as his own time in public service comes to an end.
This is the last time I will stand here at Arlington as Commander-in-Chief. It's been the greatest honor of my life to lead you, to serve you, to care for you, to defend you, just as you defended us.
Meantime, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer joined French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris to mark the 106th anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. It's said to be the first such joint appearance on Armistice Day since General Charles de Gaulle hosted Winston Churchill in 1944. America's top climate envoy told a UN conference today that the nation will continue its environmental efforts despite what he called a bitterly disappointing election result. John Podesta was speaking at the COP29 conference as it got underway in Azerbaijan. He warned that President-elect Trump will try to reverse President Biden's climate policies, including the Inflation Reduction Act, which funneled $375 billion into climate spending. During the campaign, Mr. Trump vowed to take the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Agreement once again and increase oil drilling. Mr. Podesta said Trump should be taken at his word, but that the broader fight for a cleaner environment will continue.
While the United States federal government under Donald Trump may put climate action on the back burner, the work to contain climate change is going to continue in the United States with commitment and passion and belief.
Podesta was speaking as world leaders from around 200 nations gather over the next 2 weeks to discuss climate concerns. But the leaders of two of the world's biggest polluters, that's the U.S. and China, are not planning to attend. Back here at home, fire crews are battling blazes on both coasts. In the Northeast, an 18-year-old state parks employee died while fighting a large fire that's burned almost 8 square miles near the New York-New Jersey border. Numerous brush fires have broken out around New Jersey since last week, fueled by bone-dry conditions. Officials say that a quarter-inch of rain fell last night, giving firefighters a bit of a break, but they say it's not nearly enough.
So right now, you get a little bit of rain, it puts that surface fire out, but if it's in the duct, it's going to stay there. It's going to smolder like a cigar until it gets dry enough, and then that fire can pop up again.
And in the West, much larger wildfires rage on in California, though firefighters are making more progress there. The 32-square-mile mountain fire has destroyed more than 170 structures, most of them homes, and at last check is only about a third contained. A county coroner in Alabama has identified the man killed during a shooting at Tuskegee University as an 18-year-old who was not affiliated with the school. Yesterday's shooting erupted as the historically black university was wrapping up its 100th homecoming week celebrations. 16 people were injured, many of them students. A 25-year-old has been taken into custody. He was found with a handgun and faces a federal gun possession charge, but has not been accused of the shooting itself. The FBI has joined the investigation and is seeking tips from the public. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said today that his forces are holding back enemy troops in Russia's Kursk border region. He said that Moscow had sent 50,000 fighters to retake areas that Ukraine captured in a surprise incursion earlier this year. The Ukrainian military released drone footage today that claims to show Russian troops under fire in the area. Meantime, a barrage of Russian missiles, drones, and glide bombs pounded several cities in Ukraine's south and east earlier today. Officials say at least 6 people were killed and 30 others injured. The Kremlin is denying that Russian President Vladimir Putin and President-elect Donald Trump spoke on the phone last week. The Washington Post first reported the call yesterday, saying that Trump advised Putin not to escalate the war in Ukraine. But Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told journalists today that the report is, quote, completely untrue and pure fiction. A spokesperson for Trump said, quote, we do not comment on private calls between President Trump and other world leaders. Haiti's international airport shut down temporarily today after gangs opened fire at a Spirit Airlines flight trying to land in Port-au-Prince. A flight attendant was wounded and the plane was diverted to the Dominican Republic. Meantime, on the streets of the capital, firefights broke out today between police and gangs as civilians fled in terror. Some homes were set on fire in upper-class neighborhoods. It all comes as the country's new prime minister was sworn in following weeks of political chaos and uncertainty. On Wall Street today, stocks closed at new milestones to start the week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added more than 300 points to end above 44,000 for the first time ever. The Nasdaq inched nearly 12 points higher, so just a small gain there. The S&P 500 managed a small gain for its first ever close above 6,000. Still to come on the NewsHour, we examine the influence billionaire Elon Musk could have in the incoming Trump administration. Tamara Keith and Amy Walter break down the latest political headlines. And Idaho's strict abortion law goes to trial with potential implications nationwide.